Hello everyone, my name is Manish Bansari and welcome back to the channel. I work at Agility as an who is an AI first consulting and data engineering firm. We are based out of Ahmedabad and my role is a technical and marketing structure. I architected a automation system with full stack products and run content and outreach operations all in the same day. Now this video is about a project I just shipped end to end. It is a complete email inbox automation system and its live performance dashboard and medical per peer review company. Now this is built entirely on Google Apps Script. There is zero external server and it's running in production as you speak right now. So let's start here. So as you can see, we have tracked 21 vendors. We have made 28 AppScript files and we have 8 scheduled triggers to read those files. And we have made 5 separate dashboard pages to show what we are exactly tracking. So right now let's talk about the initial brief or what the inbox was like at the starting of the before we started our project. So here we can see there was no vendor routing, there was no reply tracking, there was no performance data on how much how what they were replying to, how much mails they have been replied to. And at last, there was no manual sheet sync, meaning there was you could not verify if the mail you have actually replied to is in the Google Sheet you are tracking. So this was the state before we actually started building our product. Now there were 4 requirements given to us, and there was just one rule that it should not disrupt the ongoing work of the firm. Now the first was email labeling and routing. This was simply a production thing we made where in the Gmail app there were many vendors. And for example, at the rate abc.com is a vendor. ABC is the name of a company. So anyone who's sending a mail from at the rate abc.com, their label or their mail will go into the specific label of ABC. So like that, they can track how many emails a vendor is sending and how much is the volume we are getting tracked for each email we are getting. The second thing we did was Google Sheet Sync. Here, what we did was simple that we took the mails in the Google uh, Gmail and we were validating it with the Google Sheet they have created. They had case numbers. So in every mail, there's contained a certain case number, and they were manually writing it in the sheet. So our job was to make sure and validate that the case number matched, and if they match, we could mark them as validated. The next thing was 10-minute reply mechanism. So what here happened was that sometimes, as there are so many mails, thousands and thousands of mails coming every day, you can miss some. So what they wanted was if an employee opened a mail and they forgot about it, let's say they jumped into another mail, they wanted that the mail automatically goes into unread, so someone else can see that's the case and they can go on and reply to that mail. And at the last, there was the live performance dashboard they wanted. So here we have tracked how many mails are we getting validated, how many are left, what's the average reply time of every employee, what each coordinator is performing, how they are performing. Then there was setting tabs where they could add employees, add vendors, add more Google Sheets. And yeah, that was a big dashboard thing we did in this project. Let's see further and see what the system architecture was, how I made the system and how it's running right now. So as I said, there were 8 triggers in total, and we are handling total of 3 Google Sheets right now. So first is email watcher. So email watcher is a simple thing which is it's reading the mails that are coming constantly every 5 minutes. So let's say in 5 minutes, 100 mail comes. So this email watcher will read all those mails and gather its data. In the same time, every 5 minutes, auto unread function will be happening. Meaning, if an employee opened a mail and left and forgot about it, this auto unread will see which mails have been opened and not replied for more than 10 minutes, and it will make it unread. Fifth was reply tracker. Now, what was happening was that each employee was trying to make sure that their mails are getting replied to. They wanted that they track with the replies. So that according to that, I have made labels in process, that's how we were able to track the mails that were coming and going out. So first, reply tracker, what he was doing, one thing, if someone was opening a mail and was replying to it, An in process label was applied on it. And if it was replied to, a reply is given to the mail, then it's processed. That's how you're replying the tracks. So it was generally tracking just a reply, which was able to put the label processed over the mail. And every 15 minutes while running the error logs. Error logs are the logs which are not validated left or there is a mismatch in initials. Meaning if let's say initial A was supposed to reply to email, but initial B replied to a mail, that's a mismatch. Or the case number was 1234 and someone just put 123, that's an error. So that's what you are flagging right now in error logger. Next is Watchdog. Now what's happening is in every 6 months or so, you have to open the app script on your own and run the one of the scripts again because Google needs a re-authentication every 6 months. So this Watchdog sends an email to me in the Gmail box and tells me if the system is running or not. And the day which system is not running, I just have to go to app script and run the system again once. Not every day, 1 p.m. Daily catch up, meaning if any mails which were not validated or were not labeled will get labeled in this daily catch up, as there is a certain limitation in AppScript that you need to make sure that it runs throughout the day. You need to very specifically see where the trigger is running, where it should not be running, and what timing you should keep. So daily catch-up, anytime the system is done for the day or the limit is crossed, the daily catch-up catches the previous day's mails and dashboard and update it to the latest time. Now average time tracker. So here what we have done is that every day, once every day, the emails which are getting tracked. So let's say an email came at 12 and the reply was given to at 12:10. So that timing is 10 minutes. So we are tracking the time of every mail and every mail is getting connected to that coordinator or the person who's replying to it. And that's how we are taking an average of the time and connecting it to each employee. Now 4 p.m. starter sweep. So before the whole system is running again and again throughout the whole day and even through the night, the starter sweep makes sure that before we start, everything is running healthily and there is no error in the code. Now this email box which we are using right now is shared by many people. At least 9 employees and 5 coordinators. That's the minimum. So it takes a lot of planning and execution on how to make sure that all of them are able to work in sync. Now here, like I said, in Email Watcher, it matches the standard domain to the vendor and it applies a Gmail label according to it. And again in auto alert, every 10 minutes and mail is open, an urgent flag is made on it. So an urgent is a mail which has been left behind and not replied for more than 10 minutes even after opening it. The reply tracker after that makes sure it tracks the reply. Meaning if a mail is sent in the Gmail and tracked back to the Google Sheet, it makes sure it gets validated. Now, every error log is showing that what's the error. If there is SLA breach is something which has two conditions. Either it is not opened and not replied for more than 20 minutes, or else it has not been opened for a long amount of time. That is something we are trying to flag as you can miss something for more than 48 hours and never know it. So yeah, the three sheets we are right now handling are the main sheet. This is the sheet that the staff and employees are manually filling in. We are not writing anything here, and everything is done by the employees only. The config sheet is the hard-coded things which we have, like say for employee mapping, employees initials, like let's say someone name is A, then their initial should be A only. That is the whole config. It's like a whole map, which will never be changed. But now, if even if you want to change it, we can do it through dashboard. Now, state sheet. So whenever we are tracking the mails, we are reading the mails. What's happening is we take the thread ID, we take the validation, and we update it every day in every 5 minutes. The state sheet is a Google sheet, and we made sure that every Google sheet has around a million or 10 million rows. We can use it. So we have added a function that every time a Google sheet is filled, a new Google sheet will be made automatically, and it just continuously log the error states like that. Any state, validated state as well. Now let's go from inbox to validated. So here, what we have done is that there are 10-minute auto read, 20-minute inbox SLA breach, and 60-minute sheet SLA. So what's happening is in the email lifecycle, first an email arrives, and the email is opened, then there are two things that can happen to it. Either it is replied to. So if a if the mail is replied to, it's getting process labeled and it gets validated through Google Sheet. The second thing that can happen is it's been generate with no replies. So we flag that using the urgent label, which is colored red in the Gmail. So here we can see these are some codes I have written here for validating the case, unread and everything. So let me actually show you the labels we have made and how they run in the workflow. So like I said, process label is something that has been replied to and it's confirmed. It will never get removed again. In process is when the 10 minutes clock starts running for the unread. In progress is meaning someone is trying to reply to it. So this was done for another purpose, that was that if an employee is already replying to a mail, it makes sure that some other employees are also entering the mail and sending the same reply to it. Unread was a label which made sure that after 10 minutes there was no reply, it's marked and it's very visible in the Gmail box. Unknown is the Gmails you will get which we have not discovered or which we don't want flagging in our system. It goes into the unknown and it sits quietly there. For internal chat, the company has a certain domain, let's say at the rate xyz.com. So all the mails which come from at the rate xyz.com will go into the internal chat. Now there were a few special cases. So there are four keywords, and for those four keywords were being tracked from the subject line. So if an email has a subject line, let's say my name is Kanish Pansari, and we had to flag the name Kanish. So like that, the name was searched in every subject line, and those labels were made like in that way. So as we can see here, the four names were revision, revised, correction, and final. So if any of these four words were in the subject name, those were getting sent into the this special case the label. Now in the dashboard we see that we deployed it from web AppScript only. So there was nothing externally which we used. AppScript has an amazing dashboard structure, and it's very easy to connect it to Google Sheet and Gmail accordingly. So first was queue. The queue had the SLA breach, the case numbers, the cases which were in the inbox but not inputted into the Google Sheet. And we had graphs and pie charts and everything to make sure that employees are able to see and understand what's the state of the email box at that moment. Next are the vendors. Each vendor had a label and had a chart showing which vendor is giving them the most business, in which month, and which employees replying to which vendor the most. It was a whole filter-based process. We have applied, according to me, six filters which are able to filter to date, month, every peer coordinator, every employee, everything. Next was employees. Each employee had a separate tab which showed their validation ratio, meaning how much mails of them are getting validated, how much of them are not getting validated. And we also track their average reply time in the dashboard. Next was coordinator. Now each coordinator gets a card and we show how many cases they have been validated, how many cases they are actually working on, and how many SLA breaches are still there in the coordinators, each coordinator tab. And at last, as I was saying about settings, in the settings we can add the employee name, add any vendors, and we can add a Google Sheet again. And below there is a mock-up of what the dashboard actually looks like. Now, let's see what the challenges we actually faced during this project and how I was able to face them. Now, what the first thing was that SA breach was a tricky thing to track as it needed constant attention. And after making sure the SA breach were working correctly, the other thing which was getting stuck was that a few cases were being inputted in the Google Sheet through Google Drive. So what we were trying to do was we added a button of SA breach, and through that they were able to remove it manually. The next was time to reply empty for most cases. Now what was happening was when tracking throughout every sheet and every mail, what was happening was most of the time your tracking was coming out at empty, meaning you were not able to get the perfect average time for every employee. So what we did was we made sure there is a time submitted column in the sheet, and through that we could make sure and track each and every mail that was coming in the Gmail box. Now what was happening was that every mail's three labels were getting interchanged. So first, any mail that is opened comes into a in process. Now, if there are two things that can happen from in process, it can be either process or urgent, and it that has to be shipped. Meaning, in process has to be removed, a process has to be implemented, or in process has to be removed, and urgent has to be implemented. One of the two things had to be done. So what we did was we included thread ID in every row we were detecting, and storing it into the state sheet. Due to that, we were able to make sure that the labels are getting updated. So now the last thing which was a big problem was that storage. In AppScript, there is only a very hard-coded limit of 500 KB, which was too less for the employees' range of mails or the amount of mails that were coming in the inbox. So the next thing which I was able to do was I was able to uh, migrate all the sheet and thread ID to a Google Sheet. And Google Sheet has a large amount of rows. So due to that, we were able to make sure that error dropped from 6% to 0.08%. Now, what are the results and how do they look like? So we have automated 21 vendors. We have built 28 scripts in total, and 8 triggers keep the whole script alive and running. And we have made 5 dashboard pages, which through which employees able to track and make sure everything is being done. Now, first thing we achieved was there was no zero external server, meaning everything is run in just AppScript and it's working amazingly. Second was unlimited state storage. Google Sheet can be made on and on and on, and it will never run out. Third was self-filling triggers, meaning if the triggers reached a limit or something we could not deliver to it, we made sure that next time it's again a trigger is made, it's getting catch up on all the previous ones which are not labeled or validated. Now next was staff workflow was remain unchanged. This was an addition on their workflow and which has helped them a lot. Now nothing drops silently, meaning nothing is missed ever. The triggers which are catching up, which are making sure that the system is running, make sure that nothing stops. And if it ever stops, the next day it's getting started again and validating everything that was came behind it. Now full historical backfill. So what was happening was they wanted the backfill of 6 months and more in a very few amount of time. So what we did was we bulk validated it using their approval, and we made sure that everything which took 6 months for them to do it manually, we did it in 6 days. Thank you so much for watching this video. I am really grateful for you watching this. I am Kanish Kansari, an AI engineer and marketing associate at Agility. Thank you so much for watching this video. See you soon.